Did you know that your body is made up of cells? It's a pretty common fact. But did you know that those cells are further subcomposed of something called genes? And no, I'm not talking about the blue ones that you may wear. Hi, my name is Rohan, live on the Healthy Human podcast. Today we are going to be talking about one of the most essential building blocks to life and some of the cool applications that it has. Genes are genetic material that help to make humans what they are. Our genes are made of something called deoxyribonucleic acid, more commonly known as DNA. If we look even further, DNA is made up of a phosphate group, a sugar, and a nucleic acid. DNA essentially contains all the information that tells our cells what to do and how to do it. With this, our body is able to perform all the amazing things that it can do. Each and every person is born with 2 copies of each gene, one from each parent unless one has a genetic disorder, which we'll talk about later in the episode. The majority of genes, however, are identical in all persons. There's something called alleles that are variants of the same gene with minor changes in the DNA base sequence. These minor variations add to each person's distinct physical characteristics. In total, humans have 23 pair of chromosomes, 22 of which are autosomes, and 1 pair that determines gender, such as XY and XX. As aforementioned, there can be defects with certain genes. As you may have heard, some of the most common include disorders such as cystic fibrosis, Down syndrome, Huntington's disease, sickle cell anemia, Tay-Sachs, and many more. To take a further look at what happens biologically, let's look at Down syndrome. Down syndrome is the result of abnormal cell division involving chromosomes scientists have named chromosome 21. This abnormality in cell division results in an extra full or partial chromosome. This extra genetic material is responsible for the features and problems that are a result of Down syndrome, and this can also happen with many other of the genetic disorders. With this in mind, it is important to consider that these genetic disorders can be passed down to offspring. This is where we delve into the idea of whether or not the genetic disorder is affiliated with dominant or recessive alleles, and whether or not the disorder is characterized as autosomal or sex-linked, based on which chromosome the disorder affects. Furthermore, we can actually take a look into the ways to map potential inheritance of these disorders by using techniques such as Punnett squares or pedigrees, which are useful in determining certain characteristics that could be inherited by offspring. On a tangent, I would like to talk about some of the cool things going on within the realm of genetics. One of the first projects in relation to this idea of genetics is the Human Genome Project. The Human Genome Project was a research initiative in order to sequence the entirety of the human genome. This would allow scientists to identify genes and their respective functions out of almost 20,000 that exist. Another cool project that goes hand in hand with the Human Genome Project is one that seems as if it's straight out of a sci-fi movie. If you guessed it, that's right, I'm talking about CRISPR. CRISPR is a straightforward technique for locating a specific piece of DNA within a cell. The CRISPR gene editing process is usually to change a particular piece of DNA. It works by splicing the DNA segments with a protein called Cas9, which can help eliminate any gene abnormalities. CRISPR, on the other hand, has been developed to accomplish various other things, such as turning genes on and off without changing their sequence. Before the CRISPR technology was introduced in about 2012, there were ways to edit genomes of both plants and animals. However, these outdated methods took years and cost hundreds of thousands of dollars. CRISPR has made it both inexpensive and simple. It's now frequently employed in real life. Believe it or not, some people are already eating foods that have been modified by CRISPR. CRISPR technology has the potential to revolutionize medicine, allowing us to treat as well as prevent many diseases. CRISPR is also being utilized for a variety of other applications, including identifying cells and tracking what occurs within them, as well as guiding development and building new genetic technology such as gene drives. We may even opt to utilize it to alter our children's DNA in the future. The last thing I would like to talk about is one of the most intriguing experiments in the field of genetics, Dolly the Sheep. The premise behind this was whether or not we would be able to clone things. Dolly was born to 3 mothers, one who provided her DNA, another who provided the egg, and a third who served as the surrogate mother. A typical animal receives half of its DNA from its mother and the other half from its father. Dolly, on the contrary, was the mother's identical twin, who provided her with the DNA. This experiment revolutionized the world of genetics as a whole. Dolly the Sheep demonstrated that it's feasible to take a cell from an adult animal and utilize it to create genetic duplicate of that animal. The experiment also proved that it may even be possible to perform this on humans. Anyways, this has been Rohan, live on the Healthy Human podcast. Be sure to tune into next episode where I'll continue to explore the wonderful world of health. Until next time, remember, happiness is the product of good health.